In the Bank of Canada's most recent interest rate announcement meeting, they've decided to hold the interest rate steady. So, why would they do that, and what's next for Canada? All right, so let's pull up this article. GDP shrank 0.2% in the second quarter of 2023, well below the Bank of Canada's forecast of 1.5%. So it shrank 0.2%. They thought it would go up 1.5%, and economists' estimates of 1.2%. So economists thought it'd go up 1.2%, came in at negative 0.2%. So if we look at this chart here, they are talking about the quarterly annualized GDP growth. This doesn't mean our GDP actually went down 0.2% last quarter. It means we are on pace to go down 0.2% if we keep this up by the end of the year. And as you guys know, back-to-back quarters of negative GDP growth means that we are in a technical recession until they change the definition of what a recession actually is, of course. As you can see here, it says we went down 0.19% and surveyed 1.2%, which I'm guessing is the economist's estimate, because they thought it would go up 1.2%. And what has mostly contributed to our decline in GDP has been in the second quarter, housing investment fell 2.1% to post its fifth consecutive quarterly decrease. New construction dropped 8.2% in the quarter, while renovation spending also fell 4.3%. And I'm quite positive that neither the Fed or the BOC have actually raised rates during a recession. Maybe there's a one-off scenario here and there, but I'm pretty positive it's never been done before. I'm pretty sure they've always dropped rates the second that we've got that technical recession, thus making the case that if we do have negative GDP growth continuing going forward, there's a much better chance that the interest rates are going to stay exactly where they're at. And especially because we've already seen 1 quarter of negative GDP growth annualized, they're probably not going to hike rates if that's the case, but who knows? So Randall Bartlett, the senior director of Canadian economist at Desjardins, said the GDP data, along with other recent economic indicators, should remove any doubt that the bank will pause this week. So obviously this article came out before the announcement. Indeed, today's data reinforces our view that the bank is done hiking for this cycle, and its next move is likely to be a cut, possibly as early as the first quarter of 2024. I think I have to agree with Mr. Bartlett here. And check out what this guy has to say. Jim Thorne, a strategist at Toronto-based investment firm Wellington Altus, says not only is there no good reason to hike anymore, but it's actually hard to retroactively justify some of the hikes that have already happened. I'm in the camp that says they should have stopped at 2.5% and let things settle out. And I tend to agree with this, although I think 2.5% probably wouldn't have been enough personally, but I feel like they could have definitely been done hiking rates back in September of 2022, and at this time the overnight lending rate was only 3.25%. All the bears are saying, oh yeah, they need to keep hiking more, all while at the same time saying, just wait till these interest rate increases settle into the economy, everyone's going to be screwed, they're going to have to sell their homes, blah 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 blah. It takes 18 months for these rate hikes to settle into the economy and everyone's going to be in trouble. So why are we saying we need to hike rates more when we don't even know the effect of the interest rate increases we've already done for probably at least a year? Back when we hiked rates in September of 2022, we are only now starting to see the real effects of those rate increases, and people are calling for more rate increases that we likely wouldn't even feel until like 2025. I think at this point the damage has been more than done, and it doesn't even matter if we raise slightly or lower slightly. The damage has been done at this point, in my opinion. And rates will likely need to come down long before the rate increases that happen right now ever actually take effect into the economy. He then goes on to say that the Bank of Canada's mistake is that they're trying to use monetary policy as a fine-tuning instrument, but it's a blunt instrument, and they're going too far. Instead of a mild recession or so-called soft landing that economists hope for, he's forecasting a hard landing for Canada's economy next year as the system deals with too much expensive debt and consumers tapping out. The numbers just don't add up, so I don't know why Tiff Macklem is raising rates, he said. Referring to the head of the central bank, no other central banker has ever raised rates when real gross domestic income is as negative as it is right now. People up here are whistling by the graveyard thinking that this is not going to be very, very painful. So what's next? I do agree that this could get very painful and the numbers don't look good by any means right now. However, New construction on an annual basis is down over 40%. I think it's like 45% or something like that. And that's a lot of homes not being built right now. And we are going to feel that supply crunch in a year and a half, 2 years, when there's an extra 2 million people living here and 40% less homes being built than what's normal, and we already weren't building enough homes to begin with, even when we had that extra 40%. So even if a bunch of people can't afford their homes and have to dump their home on the market, will there be more people panicked to sell their homes than there are people coming into the country that need to buy a home, is the million-dollar question. Because although interest rates are going up, there's a lot of people who bought their homes a long time ago that have tons of equity that can afford their mortgage to go up. There's a lot of people that don't even have mortgages at all. Like I think over 50% of people in Vancouver don't even have a mortgage. So is everyone that has to sell going to put their home at the market on the same time? And even if they did put it all on the market at the same time, will there be enough buyers on the other end to absorb that new supply coming onto the market? But one thing that I am pretty sure of is that the market is definitely, it's probably going to suck for the remainder of 2023. I think we're going to slowly bleed for the remainder of the year. I think inventory is going to be low and volume is going to be low. It's going to be very similar to fall of 2022, where inventory was just kind of going down every month. Although I think inventory might actually start going up for the remainder of this year. In 2022, inventory was going down and prices were going down and sales were going down. That being said, I think it's a good time to buy a detached home. I think if Canada or Vancouver or any of the surrounding areas want any chance of keeping up with immigration, they will be forced to upzone the remaining single-family detached homes that we have to infill, subdivision into 2 lots, duplexes, triplexes, 4plexes, whatever that may be. And if that's the case, the value of your single-family home will increase. As a rule of thumb, for anything development-wise where you can get extra units on the lot, you pretty much get a 20% increase on current market value for a property like that. And currently right now, a detached home with an income suite is probably as close to cash flow neutral as you will get. And they also have the least amount of competition on the buyer end right now. Townhomes and condos are still in a seller's market around that 30% plus sales ratio, where detached homes are at the lower end of a balanced market, 13-14% sales ratio. Some of them are even in a buyer's market. So they're sitting around, they're good value. The gap between a townhome and a detached house is like $100,000 when it used to be like 400, right? So now you can get a nice townhome for $850, or you can get, a rancher on a 8,000 square foot lot for $900. Talking about Abbotsford here, by the way. So I do think it's a good time to buy a detached house. I think the Bank of Canada is likely going to raise interest rates one more time before the end of the year, 0.25%. And I can't tell you exactly why. I just have a feeling that this isn't fully done with. I think the data will fluctuate. It'll give them another reason to possibly hike rates another 0.25%, but I don't think it's realistically going to make a difference in the market whatsoever. And I think that they are likely at the tail end of this hiking cycle. And I think that they've hiked so much at this point that it's very likely interest rates will have to come down sooner and faster than we had thought previously. Now that interest rates are this high, people think they're just going to cut them 0.5% and leave them there for like 5 years. I personally don't think that's going to happen. I don't even think they can do that. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm that Agent Kelly, and I'm making moves to move you. Peace.